It was quite a week where Chinese, European, and US stocks took huge roller coaster rides to nowhere and ended the week mostly unchanged. So, where do we go from here? Let's take a look. Let's start by looking at the 2-year weekly chart on the Spiders SPY closing Friday at 276.25. And as we can see here, the last couple of weeks, we are staying generally above the 50 EMA, kind of as we did with the first downturn in February of this year, and then also the second test here in the March to April timeframe. So we're still above that 50 EMA. Looking here at the MACD, you can see again at this point in time we came down. We had an attempt, and this was in early 2018, and then we had the major sell-off down to this point here. Well, the fast line is still moving through and heading on down. No sign yet of bottoming yet, so there's still potential for more pain ahead. But it does seem this week a little bit better than it did the week before. Let's going in here to the MACD. That's still accelerating on the downside. Shown the same here, price rate of change. No real bottom yet. The only bottom that we see so far is indicated by the RSI at this point here. Just a small sideways move, but it's not much. Moving here into the stochastics again. Fast line moving on down toward the midline or the 50 line. No stopping or ending point in sight yet. Volume has kicked up. We noted that before, but that should be expected in this kind of period. Moving here to the Williams also showing just a hint of a attempt at a bottom at that point. Moving back up to the price chart, I think we're going to meander along the 50 EMA for a while. That's what this chart here shows me. But let's go to the daily chart and see what that says. This is the 1-year daily chart on the spiders. I wanted to do a full year to give us some context with regard to the correction that we had in early 2018. And here we are sitting right around the 200 EMA. Again, this is the daily chart. And I would imagine that these moves down here were probably through the 200 EMA, I would imagine. I don't think that's much speculation. We had the bottom here with a attempt of rally up to that point reflected back down to here where we are. And I think we find some similar formations back in early 2018 with a move down there and then an attempted rally there, reflected once, reflected twice, reflected 3 times, and then the final second test down here. Maybe even a partial little test at this point, but for the most part, we were up and away. Going on down here, let's see what the MAC shows us. Shows us that there's quite a difference between the fast line and the slow line as there was in this time frame and this time frame, and that just means it's going to take time for the market to repair before we can put in a decent rally. Move through here, the histogram shows exactly what I'm talking about. Price rate of change, somewhat the same thing here. We had the move down here, but we got reflected at that point there. Same thing here, move down here and then a reflection, and then of course move here, and then you can talk about some minor reflections in there. It's just going to take some time before we set in a bottom at this point there, and then of course here give some time into next week, perhaps maybe late next week, we might be able to muster up a rally. That is shown somewhat here in the RSI. We're going to do some sawtoothing down here for a while. The stochastic is much the same as before, and again just shows you all of the movement in the market that happens while a market is gathering some steam before it can set a foundation and move on upward. Volume is picking up, not unexpected. Moving down into the Williams, hopefully we're going to set a decent foundation at this point. Not really sure how well it will hold, but at least we're going to set the foundation as we did in these prior times. So then the question only becomes is once we do set a foundation, how long, strong of a move are we going to be able to make? Is it going to be something small like that one with a retest? This one is a little bit more extended. And then, of course, the last one lasted the longest. So we're going to move off of this. I'm simply thinking that we're probably going to have a relatively short move simply because we've come down quite a ways. And as we looked at in the weekly, we've got some time before the oscillators can repair themselves and time before the market is going to be able to launch a successful a really good rally. Now, this was not a bad rally in this time frame here from February to April, but we just came right back and tested, and only from here were we able to muster up a decent rally for several months here. So I'm thinking we've got some time into late next week at least. We may have a rally, but we'll have to watch those reflections back to see how good the footing that we can construct before the next leg on up. So for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.